Welcome back to Delivering More Platform, folks. I'm your host, Ben Alkire. Thank you so much for your continued viewership morning, afternoon, and evening. We appreciate it, as always. If you could, hit that subscribe button down below. That's going to help us out more you could ever know. I have another fantastic driver spotlight to get into with you folks today. I have a driver who has taken 680 total deliveries on the DeliverThat platform, $322,000 worth of food, and driven almost 3,300 miles. All on the DeliverThat platform only. I assume he's driving other platforms as well. But welcome to the spotlight, Jimmy from Los Angeles.
What's up?
What's up, man?
What's up? Damn, that's more than I thought. I thought I was at like 250 just from my record. So I haven't been keeping good records, apparently. Man, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I actually, when we were supposed to record last week, I had to reschedule a little bit. So those stats are actually probably a week or so old at this point in time. So you might be, I don't know, pushing 690, 350, something along those lines, depending on the deliveries you took last week. So yeah.
All right, that's really cool. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. I'm trying to put in work. I was trying to get, it's hard once a platform is established, and I feel like you guys were established by the time I came along, to like get noticed. So I was working full time to try to like get noticed, to try to like sneak in, try to get, restaurants to like request me and, just, go like above and beyond. It's like what you need to do once a platform is established, you have to do something to separate yourself from everybody else. And that's like, just be the best person at service that you can possibly be, give the best service.
You've done a hell of a job. I think you've done a handful of things that have separated you in terms of that too. We can kind of start out the gate here. I know you're an expert at it. I'll say an expert, and I'll throw up some examples here. The monthly setup picture contest. We got to talk about it. I think you weren't in the winners of August, and I think that was the first month you weren't included
like
all
this
year.
Yeah.
Which was like, I don't think I've ever seen a stretch in time that someone has submitted that many amazing high quality photos. And obviously it comes with the places you're dropping off to and the circumstances, and if they actually give you space to set up and things like that. But what is the setup contest like for you? And are there any pointers out there for you for these drivers, and when you take those photos, what you're looking for?
So I think first and foremost, you have to make the setup make sense for the customer. You have to have the things in the right place, right? You gotta do the thing that's gonna make the line go the fastest, the smoothest, because people want to just get in and get out, right? So if you're putting the salsa first and then the beans, right? You just got to make it make sense. Like, so think how, I always thought like early on, like a taco bar, oh, like I could set it up kind of like Chipotle just to get it over with real quick. You do the beans, you do the rice, then you do the beans, then you do all the rest. I know like with taco bars, you do the tortillas, then you do the meats, because it just makes sense. So first, it's that, right? Just make it make sense. Make the line make sense, make it like logical, and then you just try to get the best picture. And if you have time, you throw in a bag. I don't usually have time because I spend a lot of time on my setups. So I can't just be like, people are ready to eat a lot of the time. So you can't just be like, oh, let me put up the DeliverThat bag, or let me put up this. I take a lot of time and I really think about it. And then I just think like, just think about the logical way that people are going to go along the line and not have to go back, right? You want it to be just one smooth, concise, like, let me get this, and this, and get the hell out of here. You don't want to have to go back.
I think the one I want to ask specifically about, I think it was maybe July's winner, June's winner, the beach setup. I genuinely, it might be the best setup picture I've ever seen submitted in my time here at DeliverThat. We've been doing this contest at least since COVID, at least since 2020. And I just remember, this is not like, I'm not exaggerating this for you because you're here right now. I was going through the submissions. I saw that picture. I immediately downloaded it and sent it to our Slack channel for our marketing team. And I said, Jimmy did it again. He did it again. I was like, he's winning this month. There's nothing we can do about it. He just submits the best photo. So what's the story behind that beach setup specifically?
At first, so they lived basically at the beach, but Manhattan Beach is like, it's really hilly, right? So there's like a big slope going down to the beach. And I was delivering basically at their garage, and they were cool just taking it. I was like, whoa, 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 are you guys going to the beach? No, let me just, let me drive down. Like, I can help. I have a wagon, let me help. And they were sometimes like, like people kind of just want you out of their hair, like just give me the food and leave kind of thing. And this was like a no pre-tip order. Like, so I could have just given them the food and like been done with it, right? They probably just here, sign it, whatever, right? But it was like, it's just that in me that I just want to make sure that the customer is completely happy before I leave. And I do want to go above and beyond like people's expectations. I just do. I want to make people happy. So like they were like, "Oh, yeah, sure, sure." But like it was kind of like a hesitant thing, like, "Oh, we could do it, right?" Because there was like two or three guys, and then like and the woman who had ordered the order, right? So then I drove down, I got as close as possible once they like agreed to like let me help and stuff. I had no idea how hard it was going to be to drag that wagon through the sand, man. It was intense. That was the craziest part. The setup, like they had like the beach was there, like everything was like kind of, they had the table set up. I had to just like move some stuff because they made the space a little tight, but I moved some stuff to another table. I did my thing, but the hardest part of that job was definitely like getting it's a wagon, but it was like a wagon with like the smaller tires. I have one with like bigger tires now, but it was my lesser of the wagons. And it was just like some guy that was playing volleyball actually came over. He saw me kind of struggling. My watch was giving the heart rate warning. Like, I was gonna die, dude. But yeah, so he came over and he was like, "Oh, let me help." And then so I got the wagon almost to them, and then this just random guy like was like kind of like he he helped me pull the wagon a little bit, and then I just carried the stuff from there.
The wagon is, I think, so necessary in so many circumstances. May have been a little detrimental when you're going against the sand, but obviously becomes super useful. In terms of just like you said, you take a lot of time and you're very precise in the setups in general. I know sometimes there's like a lot of tight spaces you're working within, and you mentioned a lot of these customers, they don't want to sit there and watch you set up the food. They're like, "Hey, our lunchtime's now. We have 30 minutes. We need to get in. We need to eat, get out," or something like that. So, all things considered, are you just trying to make the best of the situation every time, or do you ask the customers to give you a second, or are you just like doing the best you can?
No, if the customer wants me out of there, I go into overdrive, do my setup, get out of there. I'm not gonna get a picture, right? It's just like like this. I want to get the best setups and pictures when the opportunity is there. But if a customer just wants me in and out, I'm gonna be in and out. Like my end goal is to make sure that the customer's happy when I leave. So I'm not just gonna be like, wait a second, I gotta set up and I gotta take a picture. I am gonna get out of there as soon as the customer wants me out of there. Like I can kind of tell, like you can tell when a customer does want your help and when they don't. And when they do, I'm all for it. And I'm gonna give you the best service that you can ever expect. Like, and when you get good service at like a restaurant or whatever, right? When you get like the mediocre, just like they're just doing their job, right? And then when they're like going above and beyond and and they're just genuine about it. That's what I try to do. I try to be everybody's like best interaction that day. Like that's my goal is to be everybody's best interaction that day. And whether I'm having a crappy day or not, like I'm gonna be happy and I'm gonna do my job and get out of there and hope everybody's happy. And it's worked for me so far. So that's cool.
That's an amazing attitude. I wanted to skip back to something you kind of mentioned early on, and being able to stand out on a platform you feel like is kind of already established. Or obviously, like in Los Angeles, I think what you're referring to is like there's so many drivers in that market, and that market stretches 50 miles east. It goes 20 miles north, 20 miles south. Like Los Angeles is such a massive, expansive piece of land out there that we include every city kind of in that one area, so you really are fighting for all those deliveries. What was your experience like when you first got on the platform? I mean, April of 2023, I mean, that's 3 years post COVID when delivery really starts blowing up, so drivers are well aware of the platform, restaurants are hopping on the catering realm. Was it tough for you to get deliveries early on? Were you taking anything and everything you got? How were you able to stand out?
So I I began Uber probably, let's say, March of the same year, March 22. That was like my introduction to the gig economy. Like, it was literally 20, it was, wait, 2023. It was last year. Yeah, it's only been since last year, like around March of last year, not 2022. Um, and I was doing that, and you see all these like videos on YouTube, like, oh, make $500 in a day or do this or do that. Like, I was like, oh, okay, I'll try it. But then you see that they're doing it in like 12, 13, 14 hours. I was like, wait, no, no, no,
Yeah, that doesn't
that's
add
not
up.
good.
Right.
That's not good. Like, no, you're killing yourself to like make these videos. But they're getting monetized from YouTube and stuff, and that's where it's cool for them. But back to getting on to deliver that, I saw the opportunity to make a big chunk just from one delivery, right? Because that's when you first start, you're gonna get one job per day. You're not gonna get the two or the routes or whatever. Maybe I had like two early on, luckily on one day, right? Um, I live sort of really close to like it's this small city, but there's a lot of commercial buildings and a lot of aerospace. It's in El Segundo, and I would get like really close deliveries. So like low mileage, very close, very, very quick, like 1 mile. So it was like I saw like how great it was, like very early on when I was doing Uber for a couple months. And Uber, you can say whatever you want about Uber. It's just very time consuming, and the pay is just not that great. I mean, yeah, there's little tips and tricks here and there, but unless you're doing it at 5 p.m. on a Friday or 6 p.m. on a Friday, you're not gonna get like what these guys on YouTube say that you're gonna get. And on Fridays, yeah, sometimes you can still make like 45 bucks an hour, like 50 bucks an hour. Yeah, if the tips are good. And if the customer sees that you're giving really, really good service, it really does pay off to just go above and beyond for people. It does. People notice it. I notice it. I tip really well when people like, just treat me well. I do.
So is it Uber and Deliver That, or there's the only two platforms you've tested out and been on, or have you navigated other apps since then?
That was last year. So last year, then I started watching all the other YouTube channels about all the other, gigs and stuff. And since then, it's been mostly I did enough Uber to get, and this is what's cool about Uber. Uber does offer certain opportunities, like they'll pay for college. So now my partner is gonna, he's probably like senior level of like units and stuff, but he never finished his degree. So now he's gonna get a degree like in entrepreneurial studies or some entrepreneurial science or whatever. Because our goal has always been just like owning a business or multiple businesses or whatever, right? And we're getting up there in age, so it's like let's get this started. Let's get this moving because we're tired of the 9 to 5s and stuff. Um, so um, that's where Uber was great, where I did enough deliveries with Uber, so now they're gonna give me a free degree, and it could go to you or it could go to um, like a close family member. I think it is. It's like immediate family or spouse. So that's really cool. So we're working on that and doing delivered and deliver that are our main platforms. But we've been trying to diversify. Like we're like on Curry, we're on a bunch of other platforms and stuff, and just seeing, just seeing what's out there and keeping an open mind about everything. Just right now.
Yeah, yeah, more power to you in the terms of testing things out. I think that's obviously the way to go. What do you? So, I mean, you mentioned a handful of catering delivery specific apps there. Deliver that. I think is Curry catering specific. I've only talked to one other driver about it.
So I recently joined Korea, and it's mostly like it seems like it's mostly like parts, car parts, and like I don't know if it's like Home Depot or what it
Oh, it's
is.
not even
I
food.
haven't really like taken deliveries, but I'm getting tons of offers. The thing is that when you're new to a platform, they get taken really quickly, or it I just haven't got a grasp of it yet. But those are the ones that I'm on.
Okay, I thought I guess I assumed it was referring to like the Indian dish curry, and it was
Oh
a food
no, no, no,
delivery
no, it's
app.
not. It's like
I didn't.
Curri.
Okay, I didn't even realize it wasn't food delivery.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Okay. Okay. What so I mean the Los Angeles market then for you, what are you mentioned you're initially you're seeing Uber deliveries then deliver that orders and you're going 1 to 2 miles and you're staying close to where you live and that's right in everyone's wheelhouse. You're getting paid $35 whatever on average to go a 2 mile in total drive and it's taking 30 minutes. Yeah, no brainer. But what about deliveries that are going 10, 15 miles in Los Angeles when that takes 40, 45 minutes or whatever the time value of Los Angeles drive time is? Because in Ohio, it's like a mile per minute for me. And I know that's not what it is for you. So what do you do when you're considering longer drive miles for a market like Los Angeles?
Um, when it comes to long miles, obviously the pre-tip is going to be important, right? What's the pre-tip? I'm not going to take a $3,000 no pre-tip order just because it's pretty risky and it's very, very time consuming and it could lose your day. Um, well, I will take it. I'm not under any circumstance am I gonna not gonna take that, right? But it's got to be like it's got to be worth the risk. Am I going to get a really good setup picture out of it? Am I gonna? It just got to meet like certain criteria. And I just mean like immediately seeing an order that's $3,000, no pre-tip. You don't know what you're gonna get, right? So you just got to weigh it and I may take it. Like, I may feel like gambling that day, like if I don't already have like something really good going on that day, like, and that's another way I try to get noticed is I did try to like take like large pay, like I mean large food cost no tip orders early on because I saw the opportunity in trying to get like a picture set up, you're not gonna get a good honestly, the small orders sometimes are even harder to like set up just because you got like this little table and like you need to like, set up the sauces and it's sometimes can be a little bit more time consuming just to get a little good photo set up. But like the big, big, big food setups, those are the ones I think that mostly get noticed and get rewarded like with the photo contest and stuff. So those are it was motivation early on, honestly, to take large and then I saw that people would tip afterwards. People would see like how good the service was, how good the setup was, and be very happy with it. And then they would tip. And once I saw that, I was like taking every zero pre-tip order I could possibly take, honestly. And it was like, yeah, let's risk it. Let's just do it. Let's get it because people I mean, people notice good service. Not everyone, but a lot of the time people notice good service, and then they tip well.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting perspective to have because even from my vantage point, when I was still dispatching, like you're mentioning, like on our end, if we have a $3,000 order, like you said, and we know it's not pre-tipped, we're probably having to incentivize drivers to even look at that delivery and consider taking it. So on our end, we're doing way more work to get that delivery picked up, assigned, and possibly taken by a driver. So, like you said, going out of your way to make it easier on the platform and just be like, hey, I'll bite the bullet here. I'll take this delivery and we'll just see what happens. I think that really is probably a decent way to stand out. I think that's not a bad way to go about it.
It is, but I mean, it could come back to bite you too, because that could be a really bad day. Like if you spend 2 hours on a delivery like that, and then somebody marks a zero on it or something, or like it eats at you a little bit because you gave it your all, and then to not be acknowledged, it's kind of like it's cool though. It comes back. It's like uh I don't know it's just worked out for me, and that's all I can say is that it has worked out for me. I don't know if it's karma or what, but it's worked out for me.
Do you have like an experience like that, like where you think back and you feel like you took a delivery, you did like this A1 setup, 10 out of 10 setup, thought you were going to get a pre-tip and then like just like no acknowledgement?
I can think of one, and it was another one where my heart rate was at like 160. I don't want to say where it was, but it was 3 flights of stairs. It was a very large order. I think it was like a 2,000 something dollar order. 3 flights of stairs. But then I was rewarded. I won the photo contest. I got $200 for it at the end of it. And it's like it just worked out. I don't know if you guys knew that I got kind of stiffed on the tip or what, or like, oh, let's reward Jimmy on this one. He did, he did a really good job on this no pre-tip order. And it's not that they didn't put anything. It was just like it was for the amount of work. I think I got like $40 tip or something. And I think you guys hooked me up too on that one. I don't know. but you do the work, you don't know what you're gonna get paid, and you take the risk, and sometimes it pays off and other times it doesn't. But do the best job you can possibly do, and then hopefully it pays in the end. Setup contest. Like that's how I always thought. Every single setup I did, this could be a winner on the setup contest. And that's why I take it so seriously. And that's why I still do it. If it could pay a little bit of my car payment, let me do it. Like, why not? Like, let me put the extra effort. I honestly, I'm gonna put the extra effort anyway, but like that one I joked about it. I don't know if it's you on the Instagram or whatever, like when I when I message or I don't know who does it, but um I think I like I was really proud of that sushi setup I did last month, and I was like, damn, all right, whatever.
I think it's usually Nate that's he kind of handles our socials, so he's doing the DMing and the posting. I actually, so in reference to like how the voting works for a setup contest, I have access to all the photos that are submitted. We put together a form. It's usually, so let's say we get 100 or 200 photos submitted for the month. Usually have the office vote on about 20 to 30 of them. We rank them 0 through 10 per each photo. You score them, whatever, and we take the average of each score, and that's just the top 5, right, from that score. So for that one specifically, no one in the office knew about the tip situation. No one really knows the effort that you guys put into the setups. It's a blind vote. Like I personally too, like I'm so far out of the logistics and dispatch side of it. Like I just see the photos. I'm almost grading on just like the photo aspect of it, period. Like that's my vantage point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it worked out for me. And that's awesome.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that is awesome. What I want to ask some things for you specifically. We have some really great direct partners out in Los Angeles. And I know those guys are probably making your lives easier. And you kind of mentioned way early in the conversation about having partners request you specifically and kind of forming that relationship with the partners like that. What are some things you do to make yourself stand out for the restaurant partners specifically? Are you talking to the managers every day? Do you have phone numbers that you're getting? Like, are they texting you outside of the platform, letting you know orders are coming in, or like anything of that nature that once you feel like you get a bond with a restaurant, you go from there?
So last year when I was preferred, I got pretty close, and I would go there all the time anyway. I'm vegetarian, and Tokaya has a lot of vegetarian options, so I would go all the time to Tokaya. Um, and I would go a lot on Tuesdays. It got kind of weird going after I started doing this though, because it's like, oh, Jimmy's here, kind of
They
thing.
don't know if
You
you're
know what?
there
I
to
was just
eat or
preferred.
to take
Yeah,
an
yeah.
order.
It's like they started treating me really well, and they would give me discounts and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I come on Tuesdays anyway when the tacos are half off, but it's like, that was really cool. I got close to this dude, Josh, I think his name is. He's in Arizona now. So yeah, we started texting, and he would tell me when something big was going to happen, and this was when I was preferred. But obviously I couldn't see the orders, right? I think he requested me on a couple of the orders, and they were really good orders. And I got noticed from that restaurant. But I mean, when you're preferred, it's really, really difficult to get noticed. It really is, because the people that are seeing them earlier are obviously the ones that have a better relationship with the restaurants, because they're seeing them a lot. They're taking the good orders, they're taking the big orders. Um, that's why I was like clawing my way up trying to get noticed. Like you really do have to like do everything to get noticed, because people notice you when you have that opportunity. So any opportunity that I saw, like I would take it. Like you have to early on take those opportunities, take those high cost orders that don't have a pre-tip, or that everyone else is there's those busy days where the elite drivers already have certain jobs. They're busy here, they're busy there, they're busy in other areas. You take those, high order cost jobs that don't have pre-tips. Like again, you have to try to get noticed. And sometimes it's going to pay off, sometimes it's not. Like you do have to diversify the amount of apps that you're on, what you're doing, especially if you're in the gig economy. Like it it can be scary not knowing, if this platform is going to, start slowing down or what. It could get scary because you're depending on these other things. So you have to diversify yourself in what you're doing. And just if you're going to be in the gig economy, you have to like always have a way out, always have something else to do, always try to be busy, and always be looking. Like just watch all the YouTube videos you can possibly watch, because You'll learn a lot. You'll learn a lot. Like, there's people that are trying this stuff for you. You don't even have to try it yourself. Like, there's people trying it for you. And then they'll tell you themselves, and then they'll monetize that video, and the what you get is the information that they have. So just use your resources.
Yeah, YouTube University. That's what I call it. That's how I've learned to do all my editing, all my video production. That's how I've learned. I've been in this position for the last 4 years now. I have no prior education in it. Didn't go to school for it, college, nothing. I learned purely thanks to Jim, who's our graphic designer. Now he does our e-commerce. He went to school for graphic design, taught me how to do a little video editing, and then from there it's just been, hey, how do you do this transition? How do you I saw this cool edit on Instagram. How do I do that? How do I add this zoom effect? How do I add this text layover? Like and YouTube has a video for all of it.
Absolutely, dude. That's the same here. I've never really learned easily from tutorials, like written tutorials, like at school. I mean, I've been, I went to college for a little bit. I and YouTube is the easiest way to learn. It's just the easiest way to learn.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, yeah, I couldn't agree more. Keeping down this like restaurant terms of the conversation side of things. Obviously, in terms of like the setup piece, like you mentioned for large orders, having the wagon and things like that make your life 10 times easier in terms of getting the food from A to B. You're going in an elevator or whatever, you got to walk a mile with this food down whatever sidewalk to get whatever building. Are there things that you notice that specific restaurants do that you've worked with or operated with that have made their deliveries easier than others?
Tokai is cool because they have like their boxes. I don't know if it works in their favor where pretty much anyone can just pick up their catering, right? They don't have to
Right, because
depend
you don't
on
necessarily
certain
have the
drivers. Because
bags.
I I've seen some pretty shaggy looking catering bags with people out there. Like, you see a lot in LA, and they're just like, oh, I don't know if I'd want to eat food out of that bag, It's like, so they guarantee that their stuff is going to be delivered in those big, like they have these catering boxes, and they just kind of like they have their setups. So they make it really, really easy. It Does it work in their favor for the customer? I don't know, because is that food arriving as hot as if it was in a hot bag? Probably not, but they probably weigh the risks of it, and they know that their presentation's like spot on when it arrives. And I'm sure they know whether it's better for them or not. Everyone else, the easiest setups, I mean, not setups, sorry. The easiest way to just have everything in my catering bags is just the pans. That's gonna be the easiest for me, right? It's not always the best presentation, but the pans, just pans like in a bunch of different catering bags. They're easy to stack on top of. They're easy. That's the simplest. That's as easy as it's gonna get. And I have Greenleaf taught me this. They would put cardboard between everything, like, so that even if it was a bunch of pans, they would put a piece of cardboard. So I have a stack, like, I can't even put my hands that high, a stack that high in the garage of just pieces of cardboard. And it's from previous orders. Um, and I keep 4 in each bag. And then every time I put pans or whatever, I put a layer of cardboard, and that just stabilizes everything, make sure things don't leak. That's my tip for you guys, for whoever's watching. Um, yeah, that cardboard is a lifesaver. That's all you need. It's just really, really sturdy bags. And those pieces of cardboard.
Jimmy, I appreciate you taking the time. I know I had to reschedule on you last week. So thank you so much for taking the time to find a new date and sit down with me. Thank you so much for taking your time with the DeliverThat platform. Participate in the setup contest. We're voting. So we're recording this. I'll throw a date out here on September 30th. So today's the last day of September. So we'll vote on the September setup contest on the 2nd. So in 2 days from now, I'll give everyone a day to get their photos in for September. We'll vote, and then we release the winners on Friday. So it's a pretty quick turnaround for September's winners this month. But hopefully we're back in the race of things.
I have like 10 good pictures to submit. I still have to submit. I'm going to submit right after we get off this. So yeah, hopefully I'm crossing my fingers that I get back on there, because it hurt a little bit last month.
Yeah. All right, man. No,
Thank you so
yeah,
much for the opportunity. Thank you. Thank you. I'm proud to be part of the driver spotlight.
awesome, man. Yeah, hey, we're proud to have you. Thanks so much for being a part of the community, man. You're a great piece of it, and I appreciate going back and forth with you and having our little text conversations when we do get a setup winner out of you. So it's always great to communicate with you.
All right. Thank you, Ben.